took a map of Africa and they ripped it to pieces. And whatever part that they ripped, that's the part that they would rule. They called it exploration. It was more like exploitation of the African resources. They called it encountering. It was more like conquering the African people. No Africans were invited. Alright, that's the chorus.
I was thinking we should video our whole
Right now I'd like to remind you that our flight attendants are here primarily for our safety.
Okay, and well, we're here on Spirit Air. We've made it to support House Resolution 128 and Senate Resolution 168, which is to bring human rights and 128 and inclusive governance in Ethiopia.
And we're going to share why it's so important for them to sign the bill to end the genocide in Ethiopia.
To end the genocide and to usher in and cultivate peace to the people.
Join us along the way.
Join us along the way. Yay. We're about to take off, so I'm going to keep this rolling.
Stand clear, doors closing.
We caught the final train, so we're on our way to D.C. We're going to make it on time. And tomorrow we're going to be doing some great things, meeting with people who can make a difference and stop the genocide in Ethiopia.
This is beautiful. This has been a beautiful, transformative day, and I love the Oromo so much.
And Dorothy and I have been working together for a year. I think we started talking in January of 2016. And so I'll come back to that, but before I say that is I don't think he worked with the Amnesty International. How many people know Amnesty International or have heard of it? It's a very powerful human rights organization. Thank you for coming.
Hi, hello everybody. You all have worked with her, you know that Seenaa is a force of nature. And she didn't stop me, but when I did meet her, I was affected as she was, because I'd never met anyone who was that determined and that energetic and who had really done so much already. That as soon as I met her, I walked away and I said, okay, this is somebody that Amnesty has to work with, that I have to work with. But first I want to thank you all for coming to DC. I know that you have come to the festival and you have your own personal ties, reasons why you're here. But for me, there are a couple of things that I do want to thank you for. First, that you are going to be lobbying tomorrow, that you have taken the time, I don't know how many days or hours you've given up of your free time or school time to take this fight on. I want to thank you for that. And I also want to just thank you for fighting back. You know, it's been a strange world since November 2016. And the United States has been probably the most strange place. We have a president that doesn't sometimes remember how to be president or is not interested in being a president. And we have a Secretary of State who is destroying the State Department and doesn't seem to understand that the United States has obligations not to do harm and to promote the best values. We all know that there are always going to be shortcomings and there are going to be contradictions, and that's every government. But the United States aspires to being a leader on democracy and human rights. And this Secretary of State and this President don't really give a damn about that. So the fact that you guys have still come up here, for me, is very, very, very inspiring. So I want to thank you for that. Very, very briefly, as Seenaa said, Amnesty is a human rights organization, just like Human Rights Watch. We do the research, we send people on missions, we lobby. We don't have the big bucks, we don't have the leather briefcases, but what we do have is members like yourselves, members who've decided that they want to be part of the change they want to see. And those people are scattered around the United States. There are about 230,000 of them, but around the world there are 7 million. They're not all dues-paying members, they don't have an Amnesty membership card, but when we do ask them, and when we make the argument clearly enough to them, they will take action. And they are in 70 countries, and they're in many places, dangerous places, where they can't work on their own country, but they can work on another country because the government of their home country is very resistant and opposed to being criticized or being investigated. And this is the situation in Ethiopia, where we have a government that doesn't tolerate dissent, it does not accept criticism, it jails people who want political reform non-violently, it arrests and beats and kills demonstrators, and it even shoots and kills people who go to a religious ceremony that has no violence and no political overtones whatsoever. The Ethiopian government is not only at war with its own people in many ways, it's also setting a very, very bad example for other governments in Africa. My work focuses on sub-Saharan Africa, so I do Kenya, I do Nigeria, I do the DRC, Sudan, South Sudan, and I'm not going to say that there's a stereotypical problem with all of that, but there are some things that are similar, and Ethiopia is kind of like a model that many governments follow in terms of writing laws that prevent people like us from meeting like this, or writing laws that ban and arrest bloggers, or restricting organizations like Amnesty from going into the country, or even Ethiopian organizations from having a budget. You know, all of those are things that, oh, listen, you have a problem with people giving you a headache? This is what you can do. You are the government. Here's the Ethiopian model 101. You can go and copy it. Governments of Rwanda are doing the same thing. The government in Kenya has already started to crack down on civil society organizations.
So let's bring peace to the Oromo and put a stop to this genocide.